So Greg, I mean, I'm not sure if I need to tell you this, but some of your shirts are kind of crappy. I mean, you know,
What do you mean by crappy? They got a sweet little pocket right here.
I mean they
That's
could be better. I mean, there's a place I know where it has lots of cool stuff. Uh,
yeah, but how cool?
we're talking about triple A cool. We're talking about shirts from 86.com. They're a pretty cool site. They sell all types of merchandise, including t-shirts, keychains, and other cool stuff that they sell on their site. And also have awesome video game material as well, such as Street Fighter, Killer Instinct, Guilty Gear, Skullgirls, Blaze Blue, Smite, and 86's own brand of t-shirts as well as other stuff. Recently they put out some new keychain for Street Fighter 5. So yeah, there's some awesome stuff there. So I'm just suggesting, next time you go out and buy a shirt of any kind, I suggest check out 86.com. And if you want to support us and them at the same time, please use this link in your web browser to check out 86.com. Put in www.86.com !AFF equals 4. Again, www.86.com !AFF equals 4. This link will tell them that we sent you and that we're cool with them as long as you're cool with us. Thank you and enjoy the show. Yes, indeed. Hello, everybody. This is your host, Anthony Bionis. Welcome to the stream. Before we can even officially start, there's one thing that we must have before we can uh, begin the stream. Give me 1 second here.
The spanking machine? I love the spanking machine.
That machine, of course, I'm talking about is the music that we always play during our podcast. So,
music?
yes, because I feel like if we have no music, it would be kind of boring, but that's kind of how I roll. Anyways, hello, everybody. This is Anthony.
I think that's what the town in Flashdance said.
Everybody, it's Anthony Bionis from Mission Start Podcast. First off, before we begin, I want to say shout outs to Half Energy. Can I talk today? Half Energy.
Energy tank? Half energy? Half
yeah.
full energy tank?
Yeah, the Heat team. They're at MacFest right now. Our one of our people who co-hosted me on the podcast, Chop Rock Geek or Drake Dietz. He's out there in the East Coast. He just helped he just helped the Heat team raise over $10,000 for Child's Play for charity. So
Oh wow.
congrats to you guys out there. Much of the entertainment for the past 3 days from those guys were really cool. And also for those who are watching, hey, welcome to our stream and whatnot. But big shout outs to them for sure. The other thing is the voices you have heard is not Greg Dietz. Actually, the voices you've heard are two different people. So let me make that transition over. So as you can see, we have Jeremy Wilson from the Rolling 20s with us today.
What's up?
And making his return is Chris from the East Coast. I can't remember your last name, but I know you're...
Making his return from the East Coast, weighing in at 105 pounds soaking wet.
Oh man. Wow, that weight estimation is way off. That's like a third, but anyway. Maybe a third.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, last name is Bell, but it's okay. You can call me Chris.
Mm-hmm. And
As far
definitely...
as everybody can tell now, I specialize in dumbassery.
And welcome to the stream, guys, and welcome to everybody who's watching right now. Also, one last thing before I start. Rest in peace, Greg's gut, as he consumed 4 peppers.
Did you just say rest in peace, Greg Dietz? What the hell happened?
No, Greg's gut.
Oh, what?
Because he ate 4 peppers this past weekend for charity. So
Oh.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I thought we were going to have a Carrie Fisher Shell tribute or something.
Nah.
Yeah. I was thinking the same thing too.
But yeah, welcome to the stream, guys. So we got a number of topics to talk about this week. Also the fact that we're back, it's awesome. Always love doing these. And first off, going from one charity to another. If you guys haven't already, we've actually been auto hosting the Awesome Games Done Quick Twitch channel. But quick shout out that Awesome Games Done Quick starts today. It is a week-long charity event that helps people fight cancer. And it's going to be streamed on twitch.tv/ what was it, Games Done Quick, I believe. You can search for it. I'm pretty sure it's going to be on top of the page or on the front page of Twitch. Definitely check it out if you guys get the chance. It's a week-long event. It's something I watch every year. It's really cool. It helps raise money, and there's tons of games people speed run through. There's definitely some games I'm pretty excited for. And Greg probably would say the same thing. Or probably be watching right now. Who knows? Maybe he's actually watching right now. Actually, I wouldn't be surprised if he isn't. But yeah, quick little shout out to that. Just out of curiosity, Chris, do you know about Awesome Games Done Quick by any chance?
Not really. I'm way behind on a lot of things, so please bring me up to speed.
Okay. Yeah. It is basically just a week-long event of people speedrunning through various games of all kinds. So you get people speeding through Mega Man, some speed through like Psychonauts is playing right now. Some people speedrun through like first-person shooter games like Quake, like Borderlands 2.
Okay.
Just all sorts of type of games. They all use like within the game to glitch and get through the entire game as fast as possible. So definitely check them out. It's a pretty cool event, and it's definitely something that I look forward to for sure this week.
It's going to be perfect for gamers with zero patience.
Pretty much. But yeah, it's going to be going on this entire week, and it's going to be my entertainment for pretty much this week. So it's going to be great. But yeah, real quick shout out to them, and go donate if you get the chance. All right, so on to the news. First off, Beyond Good and Evil 2. Let me get the B-roll here. All right, so first off, this is from a tweet from at Laura, was it Ragbuzz? Beyond Good and Evil 2 codename is Odyssey, exclusive to Switch for 12 months only on retail and digital versions after 12 months digital on PS4 and Xbox One.
Wait, when you say codename, do you mean it's its subtitle, or do you mean Beyond Good and Evil 2 turned into a member of G.I. Joe? What happened here?
Well, apparently, I mean, like some projects are given codenames. For the longest time, Nintendo was codenamed the Revolution for a long time before it was switched to the Wii, as far as its name, and then like the name for the Nintendo Switch, it was originally, what was it? It was called Project X or something along those lines, and it turns out to be the Switch. It's a real name for the project.
Sorry, every time I think Project X, I think Maxie Broderick and a whole bunch of chimpanzees.
But yeah, like what was it? So Beyond Good and Evil 2, from reports saying that it's going to be an exclusive to the Switch for 12 months only. And as we'll detail in the news later on the Switch, it's going to be the initial representation, the initial announcement as far as like, more details about the system will be coming out this week regarding the details of like the price and this more about the specs and what it can do than we had before in the trailer last time we saw it.
Okay.
So the interesting move about this is the fact that Nintendo always had a relationship with Ubisoft.
Okay.
They always had. They would if you go back to Rayman, when they was initially launched over the Wii, the Raven Rabbit series, the other Rayman games put out there, and they always had a relationship to some degree. And the thing that's interesting to me here is that making that move to have Beyond Good and Evil 2 as an exclusive on the Switch is very interesting to me for the fact that they, can put it out on PC, on PS4 and Xbox One, and with the track record with Nintendo has with third-party companies, it's not the best. Like, they always had hard times with third-party companies bringing games over to their consoles. Yeah. So I'm just like wondering if this is the right move for Ubisoft. I wonder if this is the right move for them to put out an exclusive on a console that a lot of people are excited for, but like it's still untested waters. Like, is this system going to be great, or is it going to be something that's not going to be as good as people think it is?
Okay, well, to adequately, I'm sorry, you go.
Okay, Chris. the ball's in your court, Chris.
All right. First, let me say, if you hear me get interrupted, it's my nephew.
All right.
I am not your nephew.
I know you're not. You're too far away, and you've got way more sense.
No comment.
Okay. In a lot of ways, I think it's a good idea that Nintendo is trying to do that option and getting. Am I getting a lot of static?
No, you're getting a slight echo.
Oh, okay.
Keep going.
Nah. Wait, is it? Anyway.
Well, my thoughts on this personally is, one, I'm not familiar with the original Beyond Good and Evil. Was it rated as a good game?
Well, the interesting part about that is that Beyond Good and Evil is a cult classic. It sold decently, but it's one of those games where like it's the game was great, but it didn't sell well enough. But it's a cult classic.
Yeah, I think there's two different definitions going there, because Attack of the Killer Tomatoes is a cult classic, still not good. The Rocky Horror Picture Show, cult classic, not good. However, Ubisoft is one of those companies that has a pretty deep library, and it's very well diversified in a lot of different types of video games. When I think about Ubisoft, some of the first things that come to mind are the Tomb Raider remakes and the South Park games, both of which have done pretty well. So I think that since Beyond Good and Evil wasn't necessarily rated as one of their top sellers, to make it a Switch exclusive is not a big risk for Ubisoft. I don't think they have a lose-lose there, because, number one, it's a franchise that, by your own admission, hasn't done terribly well monetarily, at very least. And then, number two, they had to have gotten paid for this timed exclusive.
That's true. That is a good point. It is a like most things in the game industry nowadays. Like it is a time exclusive. So yeah, there's gotta be at least a good amount of money that was Yeah, you're right. Actually, you see that back. You're right. Actually, I'm thinking about it. That's true. Like, cause even if it didn't work out, like the other versions of the game are still coming out on retail digital versions on PS4 and Xbox One. So it's not like Well, even if it's like you said, the game doesn't sell terribly well, but it's the sequel, number 2 is still a good game. Then yes, it will be released on consoles that already have large established fan bases. So Ubisoft doesn't have much to do other than take Nintendo's money, dump it over themselves in the bed, and yell, "I got dollar bills, yo!" Good point. No, that is a very good point. That's a good point. Actually, yeah. There's no danger here for Ubisoft, really. So cool. Chris, do you thoughts on it, or just want to add more to it?
I would like to add more to it. As he was just saying that Ubisoft really doesn't have a lose option here. They stand to gain. Nintendo, it can go either way, but them taking the risk is a positive thing in a way, because they need to branch out more in their software area than with the hardware. Because you see recently they've been focusing on hardware based aspects of their company, but you don't see them breaking out with standalone titles for their brand versus, say, with Xbox and Sony. Mm-hmm. You don't see them breaking out of this shell with coming out with another, instead of another Mario game, another Zelda, another Metroid game, versus something different. So I think them coming up with something different that's exclusive to their console will probably garner interest towards them.
That's true. It is kind of that situation where like, because in our, at least when it comes to gaming, like it is very much a, I must have this game now so I can have this conversation with everybody else, situation. And it's kind of always been that way for as far as like the game industry and just gamers in general. So it's I think you're totally right though. I think that this could make them look better if the game is great than this, which is like a preview of like, hey, if you want to wait, you can wait for this version to come out on other consoles or on PC and whatnot. And then if you don't want to wait, you can get the Switch and then with the game like on the day of. So yeah, Ubisoft stands to gain a lot from this. So
yeah, Ubisoft is in a very fortunate position because after everything is said and done and the way you've laid it out, Nintendo has all the risk. Now that I think about it, not necessarily because of the quality of the game, but those that are on other consoles, if they wait for 12 months, yes, they can wait for the Nintendo reviews and hopefully find out enough about the game. Not necessarily the interface that they can decide on a purchase, but then again, for all I know, the Xbox and PS4 people who wait may end up with a little bit of free DLC after that 12
that's
months
true.
as well.
Yeah, that's true. It could be a thing where they put more content or they up-res the graphics to make it look better on the other consoles or on the other versions of it, so they could possibly do that.
And we're also dealing with an entirely new interface in the Switch system.
Yeah.
So there's no telling as to whether or not, if Beyond Good and Evil, if it flounders on the Switch for technical reasons, whether or not on more standardized consoles like the PlayStation and the Xbox, it'll do better.
Yeah, definitely.
So
it is
the way you look at it. Oh, sorry.
I was gonna say, like, it's gonna be a definitely wait and see situation. But as far as this conversation goes, like Ubisoft stands to pretty much gain a lot from this. If Nintendo does not screw up the console launch, that's the big if.
Yeah.
So, are we gonna say, Chris, or not to cut you off earlier?
It's okay. I was just going along with the same point about Ubisoft stands to gain way so much versus Nintendo in this situation that you don't see them. If they take a hit, it'd be so small in comparison to Nintendo in this situation versus if the game becomes available for other consoles, especially if it gets positive reviews.
Right, definitely. But we will wait and see. But speaking of the Switch, let me put up the next topic. So, as I talked about earlier, the Switch is going to make a live presentation this week, this Friday, regarding more details regarding as far as like the release date, possibly more information about the details of the console, what possibly be shown as far as like launch games as well with it. So the thing that's interesting to me about all of this is that, so it's coming out, or for those who don't know, it's going to be on the 13th. So it'll be on this, not Friday, Thursday. Yeah, this Thursday, 9:30 a.m. Eastern time. So for people out in the West Coast, that is 6:30 in the morning. I'm kind of not prone, or what's what we're looking for. I'm not
Morning person?
Yeah, I'm not a morning person per se.
Me, I got a job, man.
That's true.
I'm up. I'm doing something else.
That's true. Just put on some coffee and you're good to go. But yeah,
you
it's
don't know
gonna
me very well, do you?
But it's going to be streamed on youtube.com/Nintendo or twitch.tv/Nintendo. And it's going to go more in depth with the console. And what they've shown so far, like with the Switch, what I've heard so far is like what rumor or leak that information that's out there about the Switch for this week's announcement. The price I heard was going to be $250 for the console, which goes in line with the other consoles they had prior, with the Wii U, with the Wii. I think the Wii was on $200 though, wasn't it?
Well, I think the Wii was 2 generations ago, so it had
Mhm.
a lower general price point to deal with.
That's true.
And both the
Yeah.
Wii and Wii U, compared to their counterparts in Sony and Microsoft, were pretty well underpowered, so you expected to
Yeah.
pay less for it. This new thing, even though there's been leaks, I'm a cynical person by nature, so I don't trust leaks unless I get it from 3 different sources. Then I will start to consider it the truth.
Mhm.
And from what I've heard thus far, the Switch, although it's going to be a massive raise in power compared to the Wii and Wii U, still sounds like it's going to be the little brother compared to what's out there already. And the announcement that this thing is happening so early in the morning for half the US has me concerned. Because if you have confidence in a product, you're going to do this midday to make people stop whatever they're doing and tune in, or at the very least look up the specs on it. The fact that they've scheduled it at a time where half the US is either uncomfortably sleepy or very likely to pass on it in general makes me curious as to whether or not Nintendo is trying to slide something past a lot of the public.
To be fair, like Nintendo always does this when it comes to whatever big press conference or their live stream. I remember waking up early in the morning for like during their E3 showings. Like they'll have their show like at 7, like 8 in the morning, and their live streams will be like around this time around. So I'm not quite surprised the fact that it's early in the morning. But at the same time, like that's been their shtick for I say the last, I don't know, couple 1 or 2 years, honestly. As far as like getting up early, maybe
For the last 1 or 2 years, how many actual major things have they had to say?
That's true. You got me there. You got me there.
And I will expand on that by saying Nintendo to me has been a company that's been on the bubble for a while as far as its success. Its handheld market does pretty darn well.
Oh yeah.
But its console market has struggled rather mightily for the past 5-6 years. So I think the Switch I think we're hitting some kind of fork in the road for Nintendo. If the Switch doesn't do terribly well, they might decide to exit out of consoles and just focus on handhelds. And the signposts are there that they may not have a lot of long-term confidence in themselves, considering for the first time in ever, Nintendo is actually licensing its properties out to mobile games, which they swore up and down they would never do.
Yeah, that's a new territory that they're entering, and when they made that announcement, I want to say, was it 2 years ago when they were talking about the mobile stuff?
Mm-hmm.
We didn't know what exactly it was going to be. We're just kind of assuming, like, what exactly, just basing off like what was at the time, other mobile games that came out. And it was like Bejeweled and Peggle and like some mobile games that were not typically that we're used to.
Mm-hmm.
The interesting thing about it is that, to me, the Switch, I think, is the console and the handheld, because the fact that you can actually take that as a portable device, even though what I've heard is that it's only 3 hours of battery life, which sucks.
It's not a terribly good portable either. If you think about it in terms of size comparison to Nintendo's latest generation of handhelds, it's a fairly large device by comparison.
It is, yeah.
And I'm not even saying that Nintendo did anything wrong by putting its stuff on mobile, but they came in late to a market where a lot of companies begged for serious amounts of time to get licenses to create games based on their stuff, and they kept saying, no, we don't need it. No, we don't need it. No, we don't need it. Then a couple years ago, it's like it's almost like that guy that sells you watches on the corner. Somebody stood out there, just kind of held up their jacket and said, hey, I got Pikachus. Come on over here, man. You want to make Pikachus?
So basically the guy from Resident Evil 4, pretty much.
Yeah, so I do think Nintendo finally realized that there is a market in mobile games simply because, the casual gamer, the Wii sucked them in. It was brand new. It was a little gimmicky, but it was cutting edge at the time. But as more and more types of games could be played on cell phones, the casual gamer went to a whole different platform, and I don't think you find as many of them just trying out games on consoles anymore. So I think Nintendo made a necessary shift, but they made it way too late to be an actual force.
Yeah. The Switch, ironically, like the switch to the more casual, the more mobile market, definitely was on their end trying to capture what they did with the Wii. You
Mm-hmm.
saw that with the Wii U, and they tried to recapture that with some games that they were showing off, and ability to like move your controller and the gyroscope and everything. But since then they learned their. I feel like they learned their lesson, and they're like, okay, the Wii U was not as great as we hoped for. We're gonna push ourselves away from that idea of the Wii U ever existed, and we're gonna go with the Switch that focuses on games with a controller in your hand, that can also take out and flip to the side when you multiplayer. Which I have to say, the Switch, just like if you were to use it for multiplayer, like if you turn it to the side, those buttons are really small. Like, well, I can't.
That's the question I have, is when you said I think Nintendo learned their lesson, but did they? I mean, when they went from the Wii to the Wii U, what they basically gave us was a Wii with a tablet attached, to which most people said, I don't need the tablet. Mm-hmm. So now Nintendo has presented us with a console of, how about just the tablet?
Yeah.
I know. I want to play Smash Brothers.
Mm-hmm. And, it's one of those things where they're making a games console. Yes, they're trying to market to people who aren't generally gamers. But like I said, most casual gamers have moved on to completely different platforms. You're not going to find a whole lot of people out there in the Sony and Microsoft networks who know nothing about gaming. Some of them have their niches and their specialties, but you're generally talking to the same crowd out there. If you're looking for new gamers, most of them seem to be playing Mobile Strike.
Yeah, and the thing about it too is like Nintendo has always been in that number 2 position. Like as far as you have your main console, you have your PS4, you have Xbox One, you have your PC. But then you have your second console, like the Wii U, or in this case the Switch, and that's kind of always have been their position within the game consoles. Only for the fact that like their graphics are never that great. The games they do come out, they are great, but they're not as often, or they're not as geared towards the more mature audiences. Most of the games they do have is for young kids, teenagers, and young adults.
And that's how they missed the boat, in my opinion, though, because if there was ever a platform that was made for Nintendo's licenses, it is the mobile market. They're not powerful machines, and Nintendo's games are not necessarily graphically heavy or complicated. They're perfect for the mobile market. However, the mobile market has already established itself now.
It has, and that mobile market is very, very hard. Mm-hmm. Like it's incredible to see like mobile games, specifically like on Android or iPhone, where the people who would develop mobile games on the App Store would have to literally make their game, then go straight into another game, so that they can be making ends meet, or whatever profit they make, unless they get very lucky, because like. Yeah. It's a real mess. Like the entire thing on the App Store with game developers, it's a real mess when it comes to the mobile market. And Nintendo entering the fray, they'll still get their downloads, they'll still get a good amount of money because of their brand, because of whatever platform put out there. But
yeah.
Mm-hmm. Chris, what do you think about all this?
I think it's going in, like Jeremy was saying earlier, Nintendo's approaching a point in a road where, okay, can I continue the console wars with for hardcore gamers like I can't with Sony and Microsoft, or do I veer off and explore the market with the mobile gamers, with the casual gamers that are getting used to the mobile devices? And the thing is, if it decides to to me, it seems like it can't really just try to hold on to both of them, because they're making too many mistakes in one area and not covering for them in the other one. It's like, if they want to do that, they have to, I guess, make a whole subsidiary and make them dedicated to the mobile market and give them freedom of control in how they can approach the mobile game market. And continue, and then dedicate whole nother division towards the console, to where they can compete with the Xbox or the PlayStation 4. But at the same time, expand their base to where, okay, we can include those gamers that grew up with us, because that's who a lot of them they're losing to Sony and Xbox.
And to me, I mean, I'm curious about the announcements that's coming this week in regards to the Switch. But if Nintendo wants to compete with the others, they are really going to have to open up their hardware and make it more accessible to the third parties. Right now, if you think about the top games that are out there, they may not be crossover play, but they are multi-platform games that are just dominating most of the gaming sphere. Titanfall 2, not necessarily a huge hit, but it definitely made its mark from a technical standpoint.
Oh, yeah.
If you're talking about the top shooters, though, the name that invariably is out there, regardless of system, is Overwatch.
Yeah, yeah, that's true.
Nintendo has got to be more friendly to third parties. If they can't do that, then they're going to defeat themselves before they start.
Yeah, and it's always been their issue for a very long time. Like, even dating back to the GameCube, like, they were having a hard time with third parties just signing onto their console to make games for. It's always been their problem, and like we're gonna see this Friday what they plan to announce. I remember, like, was it this past E3 or maybe in some live stream where they showed a whole screenshot of like, here's a bunch of companies that are supporting us. Oh wait, there's like some middleware and tech companies that are in here too, so those really don't count. So
yeah, that's great. Those are some great companies that are supporting you. Where's Activision's logo? Where's Capcom's logo? I mean, shoot, where's SNK's logo?
Yeah, they were on there.
On SNK.
Yeah, like they were on there.
I want another Capcom versus SNK.
I'm not trying to kick the proverbial Mario while it's down, because goodness knows for me that's self-defeating. But it's just a matter of right now, if you want to succeed in console gaming, you have to approach things from the standpoint of you are now the Buster Douglas of your particular heavyweight division. Unless you come up with a heavy knockout punch, you're going to flounder at the bottom of your division.
Yeah. Or I'll say this, or maybe it all depends on what Nintendo wants to do. If Nintendo is very fine, if they're fine with this position of being the number 2 console and like whatever money they make from that.
Technically, they're the number 4. They are behind Sony, PlayStation, and Android at this point.
Yeah. But in terms of just the gaming consoles, if we're talking about like the mobile on top of it and the gaming consoles, then yeah, they'll be like 4th or 5th behind for sure. But in due time, we'll find out soon enough as soon as the announcement happens this Friday. So definitely we'll be checking it out, and we'll have our thoughts about it next week when it appears. Okay. Our next story is a game that I really, really love. And it's actually, I want to say, one of the first games, at least on console. But it is an interesting thing that is happening. And I'm talking about
Pong?
No.
Batman?
No. I specifically talk about Let It
Pong
Die.
Batman?
I'm specifically talking about Let It Die, the free-to-play PS4 exclusive game that was announced during the PlayStation press conference about a month ago. Yeah, early last month. So this is reported by let's see, it was this is actually off of Gamasutra, or yeah, I'm totally mispronouncing the website name, but it's by Sal Ramono.
Oh wait, you mean Gamasutra?
Gamasutra, yeah.
Okay.
So Let It Die tops 1 million downloads. Let It Die, the PlayStation 4 free-to-play title from Grasshopper manufacturer, has surpassed 1 million downloads since its launch in North America and Europe on December 3rd, 2016, publisher Gung Ho Online Entertainment announced. To celebrate the milestone, Gung Ho and Grasshopper will be giving out one in-game death medal as a daily login bonus to players from January 6th to 8th, which is last day today. Death medals can be claimed from the in-game reward box. Let It Die is set in a post-apocalyptic Japan that starts players with a little more than their undergarments to survive. And yeah, since its launch, like, the cool thing about the game is the fact that like you don't need to have a PSN subscription to play the game. You can, if you have a PS4, you just load it up, download it, and you can play the game. The thing that's interesting to me about this entire thing is the fact that Let It Die, possibly, they're one of, I won't say the first ones to do free-to-play game on a console, but in a way that you don't expect a $60 type of quality of a game to be free, and then you always, because like when it comes to these games, you always got to figure out, okay, what's the catch? Like what exactly is the money maker? Like what does it take? And from what I've seen and heard, it's not like the only thing that costs you money is stuff that if you want to do so, that it won't hinder your progress. There's an option in the game, like if you die, you have this death insurance where if you buy into it, if you can gain them in game. Like some of these stuff you can gain in the game, you don't have to buy. But if you don't have any or you want to buy, it gives you an option. It's like, hey, we can revive your body right there, or you don't have to. You can gain it another time, and then you just go back from the start of the game. Capture whatever body that your body is around. You find your body, you kill it, and you get your items back for the most part.
Okay, now that you've explained this, I understand what's happening here. I mean, no secret. I own an Xbox. I don't own a PlayStation. Money is money.
Mm-hmm.
But when you had 1 million downloads in a game, that sounds awesome. But number one, it is a free game.
Yeah.
So getting 1 million downloads, it's a really impressive number. But the fact that nobody paid for it meant that a lot of people may have downloaded it, tried it twice, and then put it away.
Mm-hmm.
However, I was trying to figure out what the actual structure is here. How does somebody make money out of this? Then you mention all these buyable options, and it's like, okay. So what they basically did was they shortcutted a bunch of costs. They no longer have the cost to develop a gaming package. They no longer have the cost to press discs. They barely have the cost for any type of marketing. All they did was produce the software, throw it out there, and give you a bunch of freemium buy-ins.
Mm-hmm. But
so basically what they did was they took a mobile freemium game and they threw it on a console.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
But the thing about it, it works well. Like,
no, that's what I'm saying, though. I mean, obviously, the model has done well for them because they put out a moderate quality product. I can't say for sure because I haven't played it.
Mm-hmm.
It hasn't exactly lit up the blogosphere, so I'm going to assume it's an all-right game. But at the same time, because it's free, a lot of people are going to at least dip their toes in and find out if it's any good. And what is the result? The company that made it gets to make money off its buy-in system. And then at the same time, they also get to get their name out there as a company that makes pretty good games.
Yeah.
So the next game they make, they'll probably turn into a full-on console release. Pay the $60 to get into it because now they've got name recognition.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, like, Grasshopper is always... They've been around for a while, and like they have always been the company that had they're the company that make weird games, and we're talking about like stuff that like you can look at. It's like, oh, that's totally Grasshopper Games or Grasshopper.
Oh, Leisure Shoot Larry.
Yeah, like the last game they made was Shadows of the Damned. That was on 360. And like
my autobiography. Okay.
And it was just basically like, the character's trying to go through hell just to, rescue his girlfriend. But the entire time, like, he has a gun that he uses and it's talking to him, and like he names it the Boner, and like he goes around shooting people with it, and then it gets more insane as he gets more into hell.
I think I saw that in an episode of Full House.
Yes. But they're no different to weird and unique games. Let It Die is just like another tip of the cap as far as like what exactly they're into and what exactly the type of game that they shown. It's just very.
I'm not saying they did a single thing wrong. What I'm saying here, though, is that because of what Grasshopper's done, I don't necessarily respect them as a video game manufacturer. I'm respecting them right now as a marketing innovator.
Yes.
Yeah.
That was a good idea.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It also helps the fact that like the people who are working with them is Gung Ho, which made some pretty good mobile games that people play a lot. For the life of me, I can't remember the game that everybody plays. Like it's kind of like it's the game where you get to recruit like Final Fantasy characters in your party, and like it plays for you. I can't recall. Anybody in the chat will let me correct me about that, but Gung Ho is one of like the most prolific mobile game companies, and with them attached to Grasshopper with this game, like it's really good. And I think that normally if a game is put out there, with a certain amount of buy-in transactions, you would think that the game is not going to be that great or it's going to be decent. Let It Die is a really good game where it's a situation like, you know what, I like this game, I will give you money because, I like it and I want to support. So it is definitely, it's not the first, but I think it's one of the first successful free-to-play games on a console. So, but yeah, Let It Die. A bunch of people downloaded it and played it, so it's cool. All right, so
it's almost an ironic name at this point. Please don't let it die.
I know, right? You're literally, the hands are the life of this game is in gamers' hands. All right, so to the next story. This is going to be a story where I kind of wish Greg was here for, but Mass Effect. So much news came out in the past week. So we got a couple of things this past week as far as what Mass Effect has announced.
As per the usual on the internet, we have a whole bunch of people yelling "yay" and a lot of Rule 34 stuff.
I mean, that's to be expected. So there's no there's no surprise there. So first off, we have an official date for the game. It is in March 21st of this year.
Cool.
It's going to be coming out on, I'm going to scroll down here. I believe it's going to be like PS4, Xbox One, PC, I believe. Yes. Yep. Going to come out on those consoles. And there's some more information about it. Mass Effect Andromeda is 30 frames per second, 1080p on PS4, 900p on Xbox One. This is reported by OneAngryGamer.com. Let's see. Aaron Flynn, the general manager of BioWare, took to the NeoGAF forums to discuss Mass Effect Andromeda for the home consoles. That it was originally about the game appearing on Nintendo Switch, or rather not appearing on the Nintendo Switch, and Flynn dropped a bit of knowledge bomb on the forum-going audience regarding the tech specs for the upcoming sci-fi adventure game. According to Flynn, the PS4 will run Mass Effect Andromeda at 1080p, while the Xbox One will run the game at 900p. Both versions of the game will run at 30 frames per second, where he states, quote, "Last I checked, we were like other Frostbite games on PS4 and Xbox One, 1080p and 900p respectively. All are 30 frames per second. PC has uncapped frame rate. I think we've gone over the 30 frames per second cap in cutscenes, but I'll double check in the next couple weeks." So put out information that's going to be coming out. Also, for if you have a PS4 Pro, there'll be a 4K resolution version of the game if you want to see it in more high depth, more pixels, and better looking. But yeah, he went on to say the fact that the game is going to be looking good pretty much. And then all right, go ahead.
I'm sorry. Finish up what you were thinking, because my thought is more generalistic.
Okay. On top of that, the other bit of news for Mass Effect was that Mass Effect Andromeda will not feature a season pass. It was reported. This is reported by PCGamer.com by Matt Paget. According to BioWare General Manager Aaron Flynn, there won't be a season pass for Mass Effect Andromeda. A fan asked Flynn on Twitter whether the upcoming game would have a season pass, to which he replied, "Nope." When pressed for more details about the type of DLC will be developed for Andromeda, Flynn said, "We'll talk more about that later." Another recent EA publisher game that didn't include Season Pass was Titanfall 2. As for Andromeda, we'll report back when news of the game's DLC is announced. But yeah, a lot of information from this past week about Mass Effect, and it's... So, the thing about this is that... the one thing I'm surprised about is the fact that they have finally announced a release date. I feel like for a while, like, we didn't get any information as far as or any indication as far as when the release date is going to drop for this game. We finally got it in the past week, along with a lot of other details as far as what resolution size is going to be, and no season pass. Or season pass. I can't read that again actually. No season pass. So kind of a traditional DLC for a game. So, this is cool. Me and Greg are on this podcast the biggest Mass Effect fans on here. So we're both pretty excited. I could say that pretty confidently.
Wait. So the only two hosts of the show are the biggest Mass Effect fans on the show. Do you realize what you just said?
Yes. Yes.
Wow.
Sometimes
It's
we
like
have more
saying
than
you
two.
have a 100% ratio of testicles on the show.
Hey, sometimes we have other people on the show, so it's not like completely just me and him the entire time. It is most of the time, but you know, you get what I'm saying.
Sort of.
But yeah, Mass Effect to me has always been a really cool series. I love it. I just want more Mass Effect, and the fact that we get some information the past week is great. I love it. Not sure what you guys feel about Mass Effect, as far as.
Not much of an opinion. I will say though that the company that made Mass Effect get to profit from their own mistake, in my personal opinion.
Yes.
If Mass Effect 3 had actually been the kind of ending that I'm sure they wanted to create to put a pin in the whole series and end it on this huge, climactic, galactic scale event, then if people found out about this eventual spin-off sequel, they probably would have said, "Oh God, why are you revisiting this? We don't need another story." But because Mass Effect 3 ended with kind of a whimper, I think they created their own opening by accident to say, you know what? Maybe we can slip in one more story here.
Yeah. Mass Effect 3's ending, very unpopular, depending on who you ask.
Oh, it's not depending on who you ask. It's just plain unpopular.
Yeah, well, that's true.
I'm not getting into that. I don't want to spoil. I ran into technical difficulties with some of my Xbox at the time, so I couldn't finish certain things.
Okay, a hammer is not a technical difficulty. That's a liberty.
Oh, but when you got that red ring peering up there, it just...
yes. The red ring of death. Of
See that report you heard about a man who destroyed his Xbox 360 with laser vision? You just found out where it came from.
What?
Yeah, red ring me, you bastard!
Suddenly just became Superman. So it's like, I'll show you, raw. I was gonna say, the thing about it is that I think enough time has passed regarding
okay.
What happened with Mass Effect 3. Like, when did Mass Effect 3 came out? Actually, I'm gonna look it up right now, but like,
I want to say it came out about 2-3 years ago.
let me just look it up real quick.
Was it
Not exactly enough to. It's not enough time for a reboot, but it is enough time for a sequel.
It came out March 6, 2012. It has been 5 years.
Oh, wow.
So
4.
I think.
Oh no, almost 5. Yeah.
Yeah.
Almost, yeah.
Well, 4.5. We're pretty close to it.
Yeah, I guess my time frame was off because the tiers still have not finished falling from the last game.
But yeah, so I think there's enough time that has passed that they can make another Mass Effect game. It's unrelated to Mass Effect 3 or the universe that Shepard was in. It's a completely own story. And it's just another story in the Mass Effect universe. If they do cross that path where it's like, hey, we're gonna have this somehow incorporated to Mass Effect's main story, then that's gonna be interesting to see. But from what I've seen so far, it's basically its own story. So it's very much like, it's like Star Trek in a way. Like Mass Effect 1 through 3 was like Star Trek. I won't say the original, but like maybe Next Generation, maybe. I don't know.
Okay, so the original Mass Effect is TNG, and New Andromeda is like DS9. I think that's what you're getting to, right?
Yeah, pretty much.
Both in the same universe, same time frame, not necessarily connected stories.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
There you go.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
With nerd cred.
Yeah. So yeah, it's gonna be pretty cool. I'm pretty excited for it. I'm pretty sure Greg is, wherever he may be. And just to top it off with the news, actually, with Mass Effect, if you have a PC that can run pretty well or decently, Origin is offering Mass Effect 2 for free right now. So if you go check it out and download it, definitely do, because Mass Effect 2, in my opinion, is the best Mass Effect game in the Mass Effect series.
I was listening to you disseminate that news. My first thought is Mass Effect 2. That's a pretty smart move. Wait, it's not Mass Effect 3. Brilliant move!
Yes, definitely. The only downside I think it was is like I remember hearing that the DLC is still at full price. I don't know why it is, but it's just kind of how it is. I remember people talking about it when they were playing the console game recently. Maybe the same case.
Yeah, why is the DLC full price? Because of Let It Die.
Possibly. But yeah, definitely if you have more inkling about Mass Effect, there'll be more information as it gets closer to its release later this year. All right, so let me go on to the next story at hand. Now, let me ask you something, guys. You guys ever heard of a game called Desert Bus? It's a game where, okay, here's the premise. Hear me out.
Okay.
It is a game where you drive a bus from one state to another. You are trying to get to Las Vegas. The time to actually get from what was it? I think it was it LA to Las Vegas? I think it was. Basically, we'll say that for this, we'll say LA to Las Vegas. The time that it takes from LA to Las Vegas is in real time. So you literally would have to get one point, go from LA to Las Vegas in a span of, I believe, 8 hours or something along those lines.
It's about 4 to 4.5 hours if you're following the speed limits in the highways.
Mm-hmm. Yep, and this is a game where it did exist, but then it never did pretty well for obvious reasons. And so the only reason why this is brought up is for the fact that, you know how VR is becoming more of a thing for some games?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, apparently the people who helped make it, this is Penn Jillette from Penn and Teller, who helped make the original Desert Bus, basically responded to somebody's response in his conversation on Twitter. And let me actually hang on. Let me just,
Okay, while you're looking that up, I will say this sounds like the most boring Smokey and the Bandit sequel ever.
So here was the conversation. So it was at Mr. Teller and at Penn Jillette. With VR gaming becoming so prevalent, any possibility of an update to Desert Bus, I would buy it. He responds, "We are working on it right now." The other response, "Please tell me you're serious about that." And he said, "Yes." So there's apparently a VR version of Desert Bus going to happen. So you can feel like you're driving through the desert for hours in a virtual reality and actually feel like you're a bus driver.
Does it connect to motion control so I can slap the head of that small kid who's running up and down the lane, first of all? Secondly, it's not a good sign when even the creator of the game is going, yeah, we're going to make a sequel. Wait, you were serious about that?
It's okay. I mean, like, it's, I don't know. Like, I don't know who
in real life. What in the world?
I don't know. Like, who out there is like so excited for Desert Bus VR? Except for one group I can think of, and that's the Load Running Run group that does the yearly charity event where they play Desert Bus the entire time, but they also do like other stuff at the same time, like skits and dances and singing and whatnot.
You know what? This is beyond me, because all I can picture is you sitting there in VR just praying this game gets more interesting. Then all of a sudden there's a banging on the door. You know, somebody comes jumping in from the hood of a Challenger, and then there's Vin Diesel towering over you. Hey, if we don't get this thing up to 90 miles an hour, we may have a problem, man. You know, we got to deliver some cars in Las Vegas. Step on it, man.
Well, here's a feature in the game that you might excite you. Is the fact that if you get to a bus stop or like to a stop sign, you can stop the bus, open the doors, and then close them, and then move on.
Oh snap! I can pick up crackheads. This game is awesome. Wait, I may be high.
It's interesting. I do not know who it is or who it's for, but it has to be specifically for that one group, because I don't think anybody else is like super excited. It's like, yo, I'm so excited for Desert Bus. I want to drive for hours while sitting down on, like, if I was on a bus, that'd be so sick. Like, I don't.
I'm curious as to who was actually looking for this, because usually video games are high fantasy. You know, you want to be that guy running across the hill, sword in hand, getting ready to kill an octopus with it for some reason. That's on land. You want to be that guy who's flying the starfighter, getting ready to blow up a planet because it's going to save the rest of the universe. You want to be that guy who has penned the awesome tale that once it's revered amongst the bards will be remembered throughout all time. Who in the hell had a power fantasy of, you know what, I want to be that overweight guy that we're throwing spitballs at the back of his head while he's trying to drive a bus through city streets? I always wanted to figure out what my pension was.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah,
What is the
know.
DLC? You know, you develop lung cancer in the middle of the game?
No, the DLC is that once you get to Vegas.
Potential hijackings?
Yeah, that could work too. The DLC would be that
Pay
you
15
get to
bucks
Vegas.
for Scott Walker to appear right now.
You get to Vegas, and then when you get to Vegas, you turn around, and then you go into another state, because there's always been LA to Vegas or whatever the place you usually start from. But the DLC would be you get to drive from Las Vegas to Seattle or to Texas. You know, just putting some wild stuff out there.
You know what? This is one of those cases where I suddenly feel like I may be too old. I don't understand why this was made. I don't understand why it's being played. I really don't understand why there isn't a single caliber weapon in any of this.
I mean, this is a game that was made. Well, it was a game that was made long ago. This came out on the Genesis, so.
Okay. It came out long ago. It's the first game I've ever heard of that makes Goat Simulator sound like a rocking good time, man.
Yeah, it is definitely that type of game.
You know,
but
I
it's
would
just
rather
interesting
chew that
taste
grass
of
and drive that bus.
It is interesting the fact that, you know, that is a thing that's happening. But I dismay. Last story of the day. Now, Jeremy, you covered Kickstarters in the past in your podcast. I believe you still do. If I'm wrong.
Yeah, I had to narrow my focus a little bit towards comic books. People were getting irritated with 4-hour shows every week.
Well, what about to say that a certain game called Kingdom Death is the most Kickstarter game of all time? What number would you think would be attached to that? Just based off the name.
Kickstarter, based on my experience in following Mighty Number 9, I would say it probably made to the tune of about 4.8 million.
I would say kind of close. Chris, you want to take a guess on this one?
Is it just shy under 5? I mean, is it just shy over 5 million?
It's over 5 million.
Okay.
I was about to say, if it's lower, man, all you gotta do is bet $1. That's when Drew Carey invites you up so you can spin the wheel.
The actual retail price of this Kickstarter is nearly $10 million
Dude.
for this game.
What?
And the thing is, though, this game is not what you think. As I put it on screen.
Well, obviously not. It said you said like Dead Kingdom or something. Unless
Kingdom
it's a
Death,
rockin'
something like that.
Kingdom.
Yes,
Unless it's like a black metal Kingdom Hearts. I don't know what this is.
It's called Kingdom Death. It is a tabletop game. Let me read you the explanation. This was reported by John Martindale off of kitguru.net. Forget Zombicide, forget Shenmue 3, forget Exploding Kittens. None of them have received as much of a crowdfunding money on Kickstarter as Kingdom Death Monster 1.5 has. The dark and deep board game of unforgiving combat and settlement advancement has beaten them all with less than 2 days to go. Is edging over closer to 10 million in pledges. Kingdom Death Monster 1.5 is an updated version to the original game, which was kickstarted back in 2012. Since then, it has taken years of development and manufacturing to get a few thousand copies of the game and its miniatures out to backers, and lately the developer, Adam Poultz, decided to make some more. He took the Kickstarter once again.
Okay, so sorry again. I am a cynical person. You know, I'm pretty guarded about monetary matters. So you're telling me that people willingly gave more money to a guy that's already had a number of issues trying to get things out on time?
Yeah.
Wow. See, this is the type of stuff that makes me understand why Keeping Up with the Kardashians is regularly in the top 100 shows. I am mystified why, if he's already had that many production issues and still doesn't sound like he has fulfilled his original Kickstarter, but people are giving him this much more money for a potential sequel to this game, which is about combat and settlement creation, which okay, number one, when you said that first, I'm thinking, boy, we get to litigate mid-game. This sounds incredible. And, you know, it doesn't sound like it does anything really other than add a board, like a physical object, to a D&D game, but people have still given this $10 million.
Yeah. Yeah. It is insane.
Well, screw it, I quit.
We're in a world where one time a potato salad was being like kickstarted and it got a ton of money for some odd reason.
Wait, that was a funny joke. Are you telling me that this whole Dead Kingdom thing is a hilarious joke? If you tell me that, I might buy into this.
No,
if you tell me he's
real.
actually producing a board game, though, I'm very disappointed.
No, this is real. I'm just saying, in the realm of things, in terms of what has been kickstarted in the past, it is not out of the realm of the possibility of things like this being kickstarted for that obscene amount of money.
The potato salad sounded like a better investment.
Yeah, right. You got a dude that, from what's been said, has a history of not delivering, and yet he somehow managed to get at least $10 million in his pocket.
Yeah. I mean,
Is
people
there
want to play this
anything
game.
showing that he's making progress in production or anything?
Well,
what he's showing is that the Trump business model works, sir.
Well, yes, obviously.
I'm flabbergasted, frankly. I gotta agree with my colleague here. The guy has already shown he's unreliable, so apparently the fix by his fans is throw more money at it. He'll figure it out. All he's gonna figure out is how many dollar bills he can roll around with Ubisoft in the middle of a hot tub.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not surprised. I mean, in the sense of like, I am surprised every time I look at the internet and they tell me or they show me something like, oh wow, okay, so that happened. I am not surprised at the fact that the power of the internet can kickstart a board game that from the looks of it, it's like a D&D card-based game for nearly $10 million. I'm kind of not surprised. I'm still shocked, but like at the same time, like knowing the internet, like I kind of not surprised. I'll give it the fact that it looks cool. I like the miniatures. They look pretty cool.
You know, but there's already so many games that have been Kickstarted with miniatures that are already out. They have a proven track record, whereas this man don't. Or this man does not. Sorry, let me correct my diction there. It sounds to me like you'd be better off investing your money in one of those Chinese steel penis traps I've heard so much about recently.
Yeah, I mean, true. But hey, like all things on the internet, you know, when there's something that happens on the internet, it tends to be true. I don't know. I lost.
No, true is not the word I would put with the internet. Magnified is the word I would use.
Yeah.
Yes. Agreed wholeheartedly on that one.
But that's the last little weird news story of the day, and that's gonna end the show. Hang on a second. And there we go. There we go. All right. Also, this came to the end of the show. Thank you guys who stopped by, who are watching right now. If you're watching this on our YouTube channel, thank you as well. Supporting us on YouTube as well. Before we go, Chris, where can they find you on the internet?
My phone ringing.
You can find him answering his phone every week on YouTube.
Well, right now I'm restructuring a whole lot of things, but at the moment, my YouTube channel, even though it's not up and running, is there. Shin Takuma, and that's it for the time being until things change.
Okay.
So you can send me a comment or a message through there.
Okay.
If you want to see what I'm up to.
Cool. Duly noted. Jeremy, where can they find you on the internet?
I am on cosplay.com under the screen name of Freight. I'm just reestablishing myself there because I was enjoying some time off. I do a weekly podcast for Mission Start Podcast called The Rollin' 20s, all about comic books and related news articles as well as reviews of stories. Got a show I'm editing right now that has some technical difficulties, so I'm trying to strip some stuff out of it, but it's going to be about the first volume of Brian K. Vaughan's Saga series. Let me see. I'm also going to be at Anime Los Angeles pretty soon, at WonderCon, possibly at Fanime, probably at Anime Expo, most definitely at San Diego Comic-Con, and stuff gets harder from there.
Cool. Awesome. So we'll definitely see you around, one way or another, around the convention circuit. You can follow me on Twitter at Defective Naruto. You can follow the work that we do at MissionStartPodcast.com, as spoken earlier. If you enjoyed this podcast, thank you very much for watching and listening. We are live every Sunday afternoon at 3 p.m. Usually it's me and Greg doing the news, but he wasn't here today because he's out in MagFest.
Oh, I thought you were going to say he was a Raiders fan. I thought he was crying.
We are live every Sunday afternoon. The audio version of the podcast goes up on Tuesday. The YouTube version goes up on Fridays. So definitely check it out on our YouTube channel as well. If you want to check in early with the podcast, you can also check it out on our website in the podcast section at missionstartpodcast.com. If you enjoy our convention talk, if you enjoy us talking about conventions, what we think about them, like our experiences, like what was our best and worst moments, check out the Con Over. It is a podcast where we're talking about all sorts of conventions, anime, comic books, whatever convention we go to, streaming convention, a la TwitchCon.
You're assuming an awful lot about how much people might like us.
Definitely check it out. It's also on our website as well as on iTunes and Stitcher, which is the same thing for Mission Podcast as well. Also, you just heard the man, Jeremy Wilson, talk about the Rolling 20s, a podcast talk about comic books, talk about movies, entertainment, a bit of everything as far as like nerd stuff in one podcast. They are live. I mean, not they're live, but they are on our website in the podcast section, and usually they're posted every Friday, or if need be, more than 1 or 2 times a week. Definitely check it out. They're also on iTunes and Stitcher. You can go check it out. And that's gonna about do it for us. So again, thank you guys. Again, shout outs to Greg for helping out with the Heat team. Thank you guys for stopping by, who are watching or who enjoyed this content and are now our new followers. So with that being said, thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you guys next week.